The Minnesota Vikings just got a tough break ahead of their matchup against the Indianapolis Colts on Sunday Night Football. And I'm going to tell you about it on today's podcast. But first, let me tell you about Hochland Farm Beef. Hochland Farm Beef has the best rotationally grazed 100% grass-fed beef. This beef is sold in quarters and halves, and they have custom sample packs so you can try before you buy. Hochland Farm Beef is 100% grass-fed. You could get ground beef, sirloin steaks, chuck roast, T-bone steaks, and plenty more. My wife and I took advantage of Hochland Farm Beef and got our beef for $4.15 a pound. You go to a grocery store, and you won't find that anywhere. Chuck roast go $8, $9, $10 a pound. Steaks, you don't even want to know how expensive those things are in store. $4.15 a pound at Hochland Farm Meat. Plus, it's 100% grass-fed. Plus, you don't have to worry about what these grocery stores are putting in this crappy beef to make it last longer. Hochland Farm Beef, 952-491-1541. 20% off when you mention the Minnesota Tim podcast. 952-491-1541. Okay, so the other day I did a podcast on the upcoming matchup that the Minnesota Vikings would have against the Indianapolis Colts, and I did a little short discussion on Joe Flacco or Anthony Richardson and the Minnesota Vikings' upcoming opportunity versus both quarterbacks. And the Indianapolis Colts named their starting quarterback for the weekend. And unfortunately, it's not going to Anthony Richardson. Who would be thinking that Joe Flacco, who has played for the Ravens, then played for the Browns, got them to the playoffs, and now is playing for the Indianapolis Colts, 39 years old, would be the best option for the Indianapolis Colts over second-year starter Anthony Richardson. And I forgot his run with the Denver Broncos. He had them for a year. He had a run with the New York Jets for 3 years. So Joe Flacco's been around the block, and he's playing some of the best football of his career with the Cleveland Browns and the Indianapolis Colts. Let's just take a look at the stat comparison. And this is courtesy of the Purple Persuasion Twitter account. So you just need to look it up. Here is Joe Flacco's stats in 2024. A 65.7% completion percentage compared to Anthony Richardson's 44.4. A 6.6 yards per attempt compared to Anthony Richardson's 7.2. He has 7 touchdowns this season, 7 touchdowns in total this season, and 1 interception. A QBR of 73.7, an overall Pro Football Focus grade of 71.2, and a passing Pro Football grade of 70 flat. And now you look at Anthony Richardson's numbers. He's got a QBR of 57.2, 4 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. He's got 1 rushing touchdown, 5 fumbles. His Pro Football grades are 48.7 and 49.5. The Indianapolis Colts made the best decision for their football team to win on Sunday against the Minnesota Vikings. And this isn't even including the tap out that Anthony Richardson did the previous Sunday against the Houston Texans. So this game just got more challenging for the Minnesota Vikings because the Colts decided to start a 39-year-old Super Bowl winning quarterback from years ago because they think they think he gives them a better chance to win. And it's true. I mean, I don't how can you question the logic by the Colts because Joe Flacco is the better quarterback, is the more accurate quarterback, gives the wide receivers a better chance to make a play, is much more able to get play action going, especially because they got Jonathan Taylor and they have one of the best offensive lines in football, which is really good for Joe Flacco, who's had 7 touchdowns, 1 interception this year. So it's not like Joe Flacco is in a situation where he's just going to get absolutely crushed back there. Stafford didn't get touched last week for the Vikings defense. Flacco's probably not going to get touched either. And that's why they can make this shift to Joe Flacco. If they had a bad offensive line, Anthony Richardson would probably start just because his legs allow the offense to maneuver a little bit differently with more time and scrambling ability. It just allows plays to last longer. But Joe Flacco can sit in the pocket and feel very assured because he has a very good offensive line. And what's crazy about this is that the betting markets believe that Joe Flacco gives the Indianapolis Colts a better chance to win. Not by just a slim margin, but the Vikings were originally 7-point favorites. And when the Indianapolis Colts made the decision to switch over to Joe Flacco, the Minnesota Vikings favorite to win number completely changed. It's now -5. That's 2 points. And that's a big, big deal. So it's crazy that the Colts believe that Joe Flacco gives the Colts a better chance to win.